Okay.
Okay, we are recording. Good morning, everybody. I am Reverend Vanessa Everett here with Reverend Reverend Kim. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Beverly is on the mind. Yes, thank you for joining us. And today we are going to be discussing dancing with the shadow, which is such a, I'll say it again, it's a juicy topic for me. This goes way back and for me, and I'm really happy to be discussing it today with you, Kim. So I'd like to first start by opening with a blessing this morning. And I invite you to close your eyes if you feel so guided to. So I just ask that you just get comfortable, take a deep breath. Dearest loving angels and guides, thank you so much for the opportunity to meet together this morning. Please surround us with your loving grace and presence so we may be inspired to be the best that we can be, allowing us to be the shining example of your goodness and truth. And so it is.
So it is.
Yes.
That was beautiful, Vanessa.
Oh, thank you, Kim.
Beautiful.
I apologize for misstating your name. So many people
okay.
on the noggin this morning. So I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here too. And with you. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
It's been a while.
Yes.
So Kim, dancing with the shadow. I have so many deep thoughts about this. And I first like to start by saying that, when I heard about this topic, I was immediately brought to this wonderful author named Debbie Ford. Have you heard of her?
Yes, I have.
Yes, may she rest in peace.
Yes.
She was really the inspiration for me a long time ago in my early 20s to start doing shadow work. She wrote a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Okay. And I've written a couple of quotes from her that I thought were so important to share this morning. And I'd just like to state a couple of them. The first one is, you must go into the dark in order to bring forth your light, which I thought was so profound.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Like that.
And the other one was, if we want things to be different, we have to be willing to do differently. And shadow work illuminates where we need to make the shifts that count. Isn't that so profound?
I like that.
Yeah. So, like I said, in my early 20s, I was introduced to this book, and it really led me on the path to healing. Healing all these different, areas of my life that I just wanted to repress and not acknowledge. But when I started to really dig deep into her book, I mean, I really couldn't put it down. And that was really when certain shifts started within my life. I started to, just get my hands dirty with the things that I didn't want to deal with. Like, I really had struggles with eating. I had to really dig deep with that and heal the parts of my life that I didn't want to cope with anymore. And it was not easy, dancing with that shadow. I had to be very compassionate with myself, but also know where I needed to get the kick in the pants. So it's very much a fine line, right, about where to be compassionate, but yet like where to really roll up your sleeves and start doing the work.
Right. Absolutely.
What about you? What did you have to, what came forth for you?
Kind of the same, in my late 20s, I started, kind of my path, and no particular book comes to mind, although what I'm getting is, huge kudos to you, Vanessa, for doing the work and for really hunkering down and saying, roll up the sleeves and saying, you know what, I want to be better, and this is part of it. And there are a lot of people myself included, it can seem kind of scary to deal with the shadow. And the way I've come to learn about it for me is that when you turn on a light, there's your shadow.
Mm,
When you walk into the light, you are creating a shadow.
mm,
And so rather than ignoring it, embrace it, acknowledge it,
right.
and allow it to bring forth the balance which is necessary in your life. Because without, without light, there is no darkness. Without darkness, there is no light. I mean, it's kind of that balance that needs to happen, and it's there. So rather than being afraid of it and oh my, I don't want to deal with this, recognize the fact that, okay, number one, you've recognized that there is something there. And number two, to embrace it, because nobody else has to see it.
Right.
Nobody else has to know you're doing that work, just you. So it's okay to dance with the shadow, because it can be so much fun and can be so liberating
It
to
is.
acknowledge and bring it into your life and balance your life.
Mhm. I agree. And at first, it dealing with the shadow made me feel like I was a bad person.
Right.
And um, it made me feel as though that I was going to be wrestling with it for the rest of my life. And
Right.
that's not the case at all. Just like what you said, to embrace it and love it really allows for it to move through you, and it doesn't have to be so serious.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't have to, you don't have to beat yourself up. It's just, we're human. So it's a natural part of life. Um, but it took a long time for me to recognize that I wasn't a bad person for dealing with these shadow pieces of myself.
Right.
It just made me realize that it was there to teach me something.
Yes.
And yeah, like anger or even depression, it's there to teach me something.
Yes.
Yes, so it doesn't always have to be, then it's not fun sometimes, but when you get to the piece of where you can understand that it's supposed to be there to move through you and to teach you, it ultimately allows you to level up and grow stronger and move forward. It doesn't have to tangle you up in a way that you have to wrestle with it for the rest of your life.
Well, that's a good point, because what I get from that is again, we've been taught, oh, you have to be, this and this. You have to be humble. You have to be kind. You have to be compassionate. And those are great and wonderful things to follow. And yes, it can be difficult sometimes. So instead of fighting, that's where I think the angst comes in, and the stress is, I have to fight the shadow. I have to. No, you don't. You have to recognize that it's a part of you,
Mhm.
and it is there to give you balance, and it's there to show you that you are human, you're having a human experience, and this is a good thing.
Mhm.
Shadow is there to dance with it and to love it, to acknowledge it and embrace it, and then
Mhm.
it becomes less serious
Right.
and less stressful, I think.
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. And you aren't those things,
Exactly.
I was talking to somebody the other day who was really struggling with addictions and stuff. And, I had to remind her that she isn't her thoughts, and she doesn't have to be struggling with it forever. It's just, embracing, working through it, allowing it to move through you. And it helped her not feel so weighted down.
Well,
Um,
and to also that particular thing does not have to define who she is.
right, right. Exactly, exactly. So what do you do, Kim, when you feel as though the shadow is coming up to, like the pebble in the shoe? Do you have any specific tools
The,
that you
the only,
use?
really the only, well, I, I have to laugh at myself. I spend a lot of time talking to myself. And
Yeah.
I have a T-shirt that says, "Sometimes I talk to myself." Then, then we both laugh and laugh. And it makes me laugh. And it's kind of the same thing. I treat it not as a separate entity. It's just another part of me. So I have a conversation with it. And it doesn't have to be big long conversation. It's just a matter of, okay, what's going on? What's going on here? And why am I thinking this way? And all right, where is this coming from? And how do we move through this? How do we go forward? And I find for me that doing that, kind of saying it out loud and allowing my guides and my angels and everyone else to kind of let's
Take
huddle,
over.
let's
Yeah.
let's do a huddle here and figure this out. And it's less scary because I'm talking to it as if I were talking to a friend that maybe we've had a disagreement about, or something. And for me, it works
Hmm.
when I have this conversation.
Hmm.
What do you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I do. I'm right there with you. I kind of have a huddle with my angels,
mhm,
and um, there are certain tools that I pull out. I definitely do some EFT work for sure,
okay,
because that helps me. It helps it to move through.
all right,
I try not to like get rid of it right away like I used to. You know,
okay,
I used to just want to be like, I can't deal with this. I don't like it.
mhm,
But now I know that I have to let it move through me and it's there to teach me something. So EFT is a great one. Going outside is a great one. Writing to my angels is a great one.
oh,
Um, and sometimes I just have to sit with it and just let it be, which isn't great. It's not a great feeling, but I know that this too shall pass.
right,
And I try to allow it to teach me something.
right,
Um, the triggers is what is like a whole other ball of wax,
yeah,
when
oh, yeah,
when I get triggered, that's like the shadow is like right there.
it's
And
kind
it's like,
of a knee-jerk reaction, like,
yeah,
oh, there it is.
but I've been doing this for a while now. So I know now that like I can say to myself, oh my gosh, I'm triggered.
Yes,
Here's this shadow that I'm trying to deal with. What is this teaching me? It's definitely a process in practice.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. It is, and you're absolutely right. Those are amazing tools. I I have a tendency of when I'm in it that I forget that I've got all these tools.
Mm,
So my first go-to is is sound, and
mm.
talk about it is that. And then if it's not, if I start to feel it kind of physically, I might tap on that area like, all right, what's going on with that? But that's awesome. I love that. I love
I've
them.
got a big toolbox, let me tell you. And pulling cards is a great one too.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Yeah, because it just kind of illuminates what needs to be looked at. And it's sometimes it's hard to identify exactly what piece wants to be looked at. Um, and that's when you kind of have to really go deeper and sit
Well, and
for a while.
sometimes I think we view the shadow as something that we need to eliminate and get rid of.
Right, right.
That's not that's not the case. The shadow is part of you,
Right.
and it's meant to be a part of you. It's meant to be there to help you. So, yes, the triggers and all of that, it's a matter of what am I to learn with that It's not a matter of, oh my gosh, I'm thinking dark thoughts, so I need to get rid of this. It's like, yeah, that's not going to happen because
Mhm.
it is a part of you. So embrace it, dance with it, really.
Mm.
And I read something now, and I can't remember where, so forgive me, everybody, for if I mess this up. Is that it's just a matter, like sometimes just movement, moving,
Yes.
swaying, doing, allowing your
Dancing.
body, yes, to flow and to allow it to flow. I think when we get that tenseness, it's because we're trying to shun it. We're trying
Right.
to ignore it. And
Right.
the more you ignore something, a lot of times, the more it keeps knocking and, it's not going away. So turn
Mhm.
around, face the shadow and say, okay, I acknowledge you.
Mhm.
What do you have for me?
Mhm.
You know?
Right. I couldn't help but think about also pulling out of that toolbox is the inner child work.
Oh yes.
That's so important too.
Yeah.
Because when the shadow comes up, it needs to be nurtured.
Yes.
So I I've even done some inner teenager work,
Oh, good.
you know.
That's good.
Yeah, because when you're a teen, it's a whole different, ball game, and the hard stuff comes up when you're a teen,
It
when
does, it does. Your, hormones are acting like all out of whack, and you're reaching that whole trying to find your place kind of
right,
thing. And
right.
yes, it can
And
be.
the shadow was quite large too at that time.
Yeah.
So so now as an adult, it's very different to, hug that inner teenager. But
Yes.
it's so useful. It's so helpful. Um, Again, something that I don't feel like we should deny, you
Oh,
know.
absolutely. I agree. Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's all it again, it can be uncomfortable
Mhm.
to look at things, that have happened in the past that are now rearing their heads, and oh my gosh, I was done with this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Well, it's not a matter of what you want. It's a matter of what needs to happen so that you can raise your vibration and
Mhm.
be the best possible you that you can be on this plane of existence. So it's a matter
Right.
of, okay, why does this make me uncomfortable? Start with baby steps.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Why does this make me uncomfortable? What does this bring up? And then be forgiving, like you have said, be forgiving with yourself, be
Yeah.
compassionate, be
Yeah.
gentle and kind with yourself. It's not a competition here, people, and it's not a race. It's
And it doesn't make you a bad person.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. Embrace all of who you are, because who you are at this moment has everything to do with who you were up until that point.
Mhm.
Everything you've learned. You wouldn't be the same person you are today if you did not experience those things. And that's a good thing. It helped to make you who you are now, and to realize that you are of value.
Right. Right. And one more little piece too that I couldn't help but think about when I was thinking about this topic was what the world is going through and what is coming up to the surface that everyone is looking at now. And there's a lot of dark, there's a lot of shadow stuff to be looked at. And I feel like um, there's still a lot of work to be done, with people understanding shadow work.
Right.
But what a time to start examining these triggers and what needs to be
Exactly.
nurtured.
Well, and again, and it all starts right here.
Right.
Only you can only
Only us can
change
save
yourself.
us.
It's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can only change ourselves, and we can
Yes.
change ourselves for the better. And by doing so, that expands outward, and people can see, oh, you know what? She's better. She's a better person. I can do that too.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yes, you can.
Hmm.
Dance with the shadow, embrace it, love it, acknowledge it, because it is a part of you. and it's necessary for that balance.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. Yes. Anything else, Kim, that you can think of that needs to be discussed? I love the term dancing with the shadow. I feel like that should be like a song lyric, like a song title.
Well, and I love the idea of, when you think of dancing,
Yes.
you are holding someone close to you.
Mm,
And so to dance with that shadow means you are embracing, you are holding it close to you and acknowledging that, yes, you are important to me.
mhm.
So I love that idea.
And dancing should be put inside the toolbox,
Absolutely.
you know? I
Absolutely.
mean,
It
because
should be fun.
yeah, yeah. And it's just such a wonderful way to move the energy within to help it pass through and to not get rid of it. You can fast dance, you can slow dance, you can sway, you can do the polka, yeah,
Right.
whatever floats your boat, you know?
Absolutely. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that. I love that.
yeah,
Another tool in the toolbox is always
yes,
a good thing.
yes, yes.
So I think I'm complete. I
I
think
do too. I feel like I'm complete too.
good.
Yes.
This is wonderful.
Thank you. So from here, um, would you like to pull a stone
Well,
or
let's do the tenets,
okay?
and then for closing, I'll pull a
Yes.
stone and,
Okay.
give people something to think about for the week.
Sounds good. Okay. I open my heart with deep gratitude and intend today to master my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energies. I am dedicated to my spiritual practice. I surrender to my soul's purpose through sacred prayer. I own my guidance.
I live in partnership with my angels. I serve with a loving heart. I am compassionate in every moment.
I trust it's all good. I allow immediate forgiveness. I honor my truth.
I listen to the spiritual messages within my physical body. I express myself creatively. I love all beings with an open heart and an open mind. I am one with Mother Earth, and so it
So it
is.
is.
So yes, I'm going to pull from it's heavy. My bowl of stones.
I love it.
I made this bowl. This was my first bowl that I made when I was into my crafting and stuff. And so I thought this would be a wonderful way to put all our stones, the tenet stones in here. So eeny meeny chili beany. Let's see what we've got. Oh, one of my favorites. I honor my truth.
Oh, I love it.
I love
I
this.
love it.
And again, I was just thinking about that too. Thanks, angels. I love it when you do that. Honoring my truth gets to be like putting on armor, carrying a shield, and sharing it like a sacrament.
Mhm.
And so, how do
What I
you honor your truth?
Yes, and what I love about honoring your truth too is when you can embrace and love and nurture your shadow, you become more of you and
Right.
your authentic self, and you can live, um, with dignity and pride and knowing that you're tackling your stuff, you
Well,
know?
you're becoming your highest and best self.
Right. Yes, exactly, exactly. Perfect. Um, So thank you, Kim. And just one little housekeeping piece.
Okay.
Join Reverend Elvia and Reverend Jamie on Wednesday at 5 o'clock for another Sunday evening grace, I should say, right?
November 2nd, right?
Excuse me, November 2nd. Yes,
Okay.
November 2nd. So I'll be tuning in then, hopefully.
Me too.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to be with you.
Thank
And did
you.
you want to do a closing blessing?
I'm good. Just remember to honor your truth, which includes dancing with your shadow.
Yes, perfect. I love it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye all.